Welcome to the Dare to Differentiate podcast. This is Chani, your host, and very excited to welcome our guest today, Elisheva VanHalem. Did I say it right?
You got
Instead
it
of the
right.
Dutch way?
You got it right.
Who's here to share her story. Very excited to have you here.
Exciting to be here.
And yeah.
Where to start,
Where
right?
to start? I think in general, when we share stories, it's like, first of all, to put a title to it.
Right.
And also, which parts of the story, which details are relevant in this moment to share, which I think, like we were talking about this before, there's a part of sharing your story. It's like, well, is anyone interested? Does anyone care about my story?
Right.
Which part of it do they care about? And I think what I would love to focus on is the kinds of things that feel relevant to you today. I feel like that's what's relevant to share.
Okay.
So should we just start by talking about a big donation you made last year?
We could start there.
Okay.
It's, again, like I don't usually share it, so it's a little, stay with me. But
Yes.
Yeah, so exactly a year ago, I had the big honor to donate my kidney
Wow.
to someone who really needed it. I only realized later how much he needed it. It was pretty urgent, but yeah, that was a big dream coming true. It's something that I have been thinking of doing in the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It started about actually 5 years ago because it happened 4 years after
Mm-hmm.
the seed was planted. But yeah, it's been an amazing, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's unbelievable. And there's not one day that goes on that I don't think about it, that I forget about it. It's been a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And if it's something that's like always on your mind, that's something that comes up every single day of your life, and it's such a relevant part of your story.
Right.
And I think people would be so interested to hear what that is that like you're reminded of every single day.
Right.
So I just would love to hear more about it being a dream come true. I know that there are people that do dream of donating a kidney, and I would love to hear like what your dream looked like.
Sure. So it all started like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the summer. And I drive for VanHalem. I guess I must have been more than that because it wasn't my first time. But since I'm a teacher, I drive during the summer. I don't usually do it during the year because I'm very busy, but in the summer I like to take that up, like help people to get to the hospitals. So one day I got a call and was asked to take this couple to Mount Sinai in Manhattan. And when I met them, I realized that he just had a kidney transplant.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked quite ill still. He didn't look so good. But like on all my drives, I like to talk to people. Like I feel like they like to share their stories sometimes. So we got to know each other. And after I dropped them off, I said, if you need me, they were from South Africa. They were not from here. So they didn't have many people that they could rely on. So I said, they can always reach out to me if they need me. I'm available. I'm not going anywhere. I wasn't traveling at that time. So they did. And over the next 2 weeks or so, we got to know each other. I drove them a couple of times. And like I saw the difference from day 1, and day 14, let's say, how different he looked. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't get over that, like someone just gave life to him. And he was just, getting better and getting ready to get on with life. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying then at that time, I said, like, one day I want to do this. This is like really phenomenal. This is amazing. And one day I would like to do it. Of course, it's not something that you should think of, I'm going to do it, donate my kidney, part of my, organs. So I didn't think of it much, but every once in a while it would come up. I would drive someone else to the hospitals, another kidney patient, like organizations will come up and I would think about it. And fast forward another 2 years passed, actually another 3 years passed, and COVID started. And so many things went wrong and people's lives were like turned upside down. A lot of people needed help. And at the same time, I turned 40. And when I turned 40, I really felt like I started thinking more about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I really want to give life. And, maybe I'm not yet able to give life, myself, like I'm not married yet, but there's something else I can do. So I reached out to my friend who works for Renewal. Renewal is a organization that deals with transplants. They're amazing. They're like,
shout out to Renewal.
Yeah, they do like from the beginning till the end. They like take care of everything. So I happen to have a very good friend, Irit. She works for them, and I reached out to her and I said, "Listen, I really think that the time is now. Think I'm going to do this. This is last year in May." So she sent me a swap kit. So one night I just sat at the table, I just swapped it and I sent it out. And usually it takes a while to get results and everything. But like, I think it was like 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, Irit called me and she said,
2.5 weeks?
"You're a match."
Wow.
Right. Maybe it was 3 weeks, but it was like pretty fast. Yeah. Of course, like I had to sit down and I'm like, okay, now it's real.
Do I really want to do this?
Am I really going to do this? Or was it just a dream and like in La La Land? Like,
right.
It's like beautiful, but you're thinking about your own body, and suddenly also doing surgery when you don't have to is major. Like I am not a hospital fan. I don't like going to doctors. But the more I thought about it, it was really like summer was coming up. I'm a teacher again, so I was finishing school and I was like, I just have to do this. I really, really want to do this. I want to give life. Again, I just turned 40 and I just felt like it was the right time. So they sent me for blood tests and everything. The funny thing, they call it like a multi-million-dollar checkup because you literally get screened from top to bottom. You go into the hospital for a day or two and they check everything out, like everything. That was not even the hardest part. The hardest part was the psychological part. You meet with psychiatrists and psychologists and social workers because honestly, they think like you're crazy. Like, why would you do this? Why would you put yourself under the knife and give your organ to someone you don't know? Because I did not know this person at all. The only thing they told me that he was an elderly guy. He was 75 years old and that he really obviously needed a kidney for a few years already. Everything was, I would say, 2 or 3 days with testing all your blood and all the MRIs and everything. Like they literally screen you from top to bottom.
It's like an inpatient evaluation?
So you go there like 9 o'clock in the morning and you come back, you're done like around 6.
And you come home exhausted.
Right. And then that's just like the physical part, but then like the emotional part, like they really drill you, like, why would you do this? Is someone behind this? Is, like they just really want to make sure that obviously that you really want to do this. So that was, I think, in June. So I just had finished school, was like the 3rd week of June. And and then I got a phone call that everything went well and that I could pick the date for the surgery. Which happened to be like literally like 3 weeks later.
Wow.
So everything from the beginning till the end was like 2.5 months, which is pretty fast for this whole thing. Usually it takes a little bit longer. But so I went July 27th, I picked.
Right.
It was Chai Av.
I remember we were talking about that.
Right.
You only realized after.
I only realized after that was Chai Av, which I think was a beautiful day to give life on Chai Av. And also it was the 27th of July, who happened to be someone who was very involved from my recipient side. It was his birthday. So, but I only realized this all after a year. Like I didn't even so... Right. So you go in that day. Because of COVID, it was a little hard because no one is allowed to be with you. But I just remember going in and then waking up. You feel like you feel the same, but you feel so different at the same time. because you just have given life to a person who you don't know yet. You know, it's a lot easier also later when you know the person. It was a little weird to go in and you know you're giving life to someone, but you don't know who that person is. So I could imagine even more so if you know the person.
Right.
But even like this, it's like the feeling it's undescribable, like to give life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really crazy to me because every single time you said, especially the first time when you said like, I wanted to give life, I literally just got chills. And every single time you repeat it, it's just like, what about that? First of all, it's just incredible that this is like a choice that you made to give life. But I'd love for you to like talk more about that, about what your experience, like, first of all, I guess the desire to give life.
Right. So,
and then also like what that experience.
right. So, you know, like my whole life, I'm dreaming of having a family. And this is, even though it's very different, I'm assuming, you know, having a child and then, or giving one of your organs away. I think it's still the same at the end of the day, that someone is alive because of you.
Yeah.
So I don't think I really realized before I did it what an impact it had on me. You know, like now it's a year further and like the feeling gets like bigger and bigger. Like before, you have no clue what's happening. It's like all beautiful in your head. You want to save a life. You want to give life. And yeah, like you're doing it, but you don't realize after, even especially when I'm like after you know, the first 2 weeks is hard because you just had major surgery, but it's really amazing that you just go on feeling the same as before, except for like the inner feeling, you know, like that's changed. But your body wise, it's like the first 2 weeks you feel like, you know, an empty feeling in there.
That's so interesting.
And they have
like
warned
physically
yeah,
empty.
they warned me about that. They're like, you're gonna feel like this weird empty space, which is, you know, like kind of like normal if you think about a kidney is, you know, 10 centimeters. So yeah, right.
This is pretty big.
But yeah, so the first 2 weeks, I remember laying down and I'm like, I feel everything moving in me. And then when I went for a checkup and I told the doctor, he's like, yeah, everything needs to find its space.
Right.
Because you have a huge empty spot.
Right.
That was very interesting. And also, like, you know, the
Was
cut
that like
that
an
they make.
emotional experience also? Because I feel like that physical like movement is like very
It
jarring.
was, right. I think I was scared also. Like, it was very weird feeling. Like, and also you're starting to realize like you're missing something.
Yeah. You gave something away.
You gave something away, but like it's never going to come back. So I think the hardest was for me also, like, I didn't know the person I gave it to. So like you're going through so much and then like it's kind of like you feel like a little weird.
Yeah.
But afterwards when we spoke and we met, and it's like it brings it even more to life. I'm extremely blessed that Hashem gave me, you know, the chance to give life to someone that I actually got quite close with.
Right.
So it's even more like you can see it even more. But yeah, like I said, there's not one day that I did not think of it.
Right.
And I don't think of the surgery or anything like the testing anymore. Right. It's just really that you feel like someone is walking around, you know, with your kidney. Right. It's something, sometimes it's just hard to even understand.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling that you have.
And it's something that you wanted. And then it's something that kind of like grew as the experience went on. Right.
Yes. Like even sometimes, even today, like, you know, sometimes I'm thinking like, did I really do it? Right. Like it's such a, you know, you don't grow up thinking of these things. I mean, it's a lot more common now. Yeah. I don't think I knew anyone, you know, that donated a kidney. Like it was, I literally shocked, like pretty much my kind of, you know, my people. Right. I mean, my close family, they knew over the past 4 years that I was thinking of it, but it did come pretty fast suddenly.
Right. What, it was like a matter of a couple, like what, 6 weeks?
It was
something?
A few weeks, right? Yeah. May, June, July. So it was really, I think my parents was the hardest for them. You know, they were extremely supportive, but I didn't realize until surgery, like it was kind of like not spoken about. And once it was over, they were like over the moon, you know, because I realize now how scary it must have been for them, you know. I mean, you're going under surgery, volunteer.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe they should have been there in the psychological evaluation. Your parents.
Yeah. Probably not.
They would. Well, that's how it is to be a parent,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. And like, it's funny because now since I gave my kidney, like I always worry, you know, like it's not a terrible worry, but I always worry, like I'm always
Thinking
hoping that
about
he's okay.
Yeah.
And I always wish for him, like, you know, that he will he would feel good. And so I kind of like feel the same, like it's just always on your mind, you know, like, so. And I think that's also the biggest fear. And that's why they take you through all this testing, psychological, because there's always a chance that it doesn't go through. Mm-hmm. There's a chance that it can get canceled, or there's a chance that your kidney is not accepted.
Right.
So I remember when I woke up, apparently the first thing I said, it's like, is my kidney working?
Right.
So it really was in my mind that I really was afraid that it wouldn't do. And even if it does, like obviously you still did the mitzvah, you still gave life, but it's not the same. So just feel very blessed that everything went well.
Right. I mean, with anything, like there's always, when you cultivate something, it's not for sure gonna It's not for sure gonna be viable.
Right.
Any kind of life.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a plant here that I just threw out yesterday because it didn't survive. But
with this plant?
No, another one that was here.
Right.
That
and it
didn't make it. And that's part of, you don't know until you try it.
And I think that's really where, you know, bitachon and Amuna comes in, because it definitely helped. I became so much stronger in my bitachon. Like you really have to just trust Hashem, like whatever happens. I remember waiting for the results. Like once I was, there was a match, I had to go through all this testing, and I remember I was so nervous, like, are they gonna like accept me? Are they not? Am I healthy? Am I good? Everything. And I remember
something wrong with me.
Right. Like I remember thinking, going back and forth. Okay, so if it's not, then it's all, Hashem doesn't want me to do it. If it went through, like, then he wants me. And then I'm like, should I still go through it? Should I not? Like there's so much going on at that time. But I definitely also felt, my connection with Hashem being much stronger through this whole process. Yeah. Like I realized what life is, you don't take it for granted anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think about your life more now that you have this experience?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like, and also, first of all, you're like, it's funny because a lot of people say like, oh, so now you only have one kidney, you have like more chances to, get like hurt or anything. Right. So, which is funny because there are so many studies that say like people that donate their kidney are usually like healthier than, other people, because, and it is because we are taking so much better care of our lives. Like we do think what we put in our mouth. I don't just like eat everything, because I do feel like I do have one kidney. I do need to take care of my body. Right. So yeah, it's
right. Do you mentioned that you're very close with the recipient?
Yeah. So
donor recipient?
Right.
Kidney recipient? What do you call it?
I guess kidney recipient. Yeah. Right.
Do you want to talk about your relationship with him?
Sure. Like we don't see each other often at all, but we do every Friday. We'll text each other to make sure that, I'll make sure he's okay. And he will do the same thing for me. Right. So we have met a couple of times. We met for the first time was exactly 6 months after the surgery. I met his wife and his wife's mother. We went out to eat. It was just like unbelievable. It was like so crazy to be sitting next to him. And again, like we do, every Friday we'll text each other to make sure that, to just wish each other good Shabbos. But to meet for the first time in real, it's like, it's unreal. There's no words for it. I can't really describe it. So yeah, I feel very lucky that he's in my life and that he, because I've definitely known, now that I know more kidney donors, it's not always like that. Not everyone feels like, they're able to keep a relationship. And I understand it both ways. I understand when you receive a kidney, it's such a big thing. it's like you literally take something from another person's body. So I totally understand. And before I donated, I said, whatever is easier for him,
Right.
I will go with that. But of course, Hashem knows me very well. And he knows that I should, feel like need to have a connection. And since the beginning, it just went effortless. Like we're just there. We're just family.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually really feel like I want to talk more about this whole idea of giving life. And I don't know, like you mentioned that this is a dream come true for you. But the crazy thing is, like, it's when you talk about dream come true, like, was it a childhood dream?
No.
Right?
No, definitely not.
Like, what was a childhood dream, for giving life then, and then how life has evolved.
Right.
And the meaning of giving life has evolved.
Yeah, like I don't think I ever heard of donating your kidney. Like that's not something that definitely not in Holland where I grew up, it wasn't ever spoken about. I think my dream was of course to start a family earlier on in life. Hashem, I'm very blessed with my life. I have amazing things going on. It's not always easy, especially this past year, a lot of things happened. But it really started when I met this couple who I, by the way, also still talk, like we text once in a while.
So fascinating.
They actually just texted me in the beginning of this week to see like, hey, how are you doing? And it's like, I don't think they realized that they were the ones that really started it in me.
Planted the seed of the
Planted
dream.
the seed, right. Like it really started at that time. And the funny thing was that when I dropped them off at Mount Sinai, and I remember saying like one day I'm going to do this. Hashem works in such interesting ways that exactly 4 years later, to the month, could be to the week probably, I donated it in Mount Sinai.
Wow.
Same space, same building, and which is also not common because like there's so many other hospitals that are dealing with transplants.
Right.
So yeah, it was like so weird.
You're like back at Mount Sinai living your
I'm like,
dream.
I remember those stairs, going up, like when I went for all my testing and I woke up and I'm like, this is so strange. Like I remember being here 4 years ago. Right. Yeah.
It's so fascinating because when we talk about dreams, like dreams like evolve. Like you have this one dream and then if that dream can die and then another one can be born, and it's like the cycle of life of like the way that we envision our lives to turn out, and then like watch it.
Right. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, it's like, I'm like, really?
Like this was your dream?
Like even today, like once in a while, I would just like pinch myself. I'm like, did I really do it?
Right.
Because you don't feel a difference after kidney-wise. Like it's not, you just go on. So you do have to remind yourself when you see the scar. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
like living your dream.
Yeah.
Living your best life.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't my dream growing up.
Right.
So, and again, I'm not saying that it's easy to go through. Like I always love, like people say like, oh, once you do it, you will like, I would do it again if I can.
Right.
Honestly, like I wouldn't do it if I can. Do it again because it is a hard thing to go through. Yeah. It's really not for everyone, and it's really not like just don't take it light. But for me, it was really the right thing to do. And like I always say, if anyone is interested, I'll be happy to like be there, but I would never just suggest like, oh, go do it. It's not for everyone.
Right.
For sure not.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. But I feel like, I don't know this for a fact, I don't know this, but I feel like, and this is based on from what I heard from you and based on my own experience, that so much of this experience is like redefining what a dream is. Like what living your dream means.
And I guess it makes life interesting, right?
Yeah,
like
fascinating.
You don't just keep on going. And I think like people that really get stuck is like that they are living just the same, like in the same circle. They don't keep on, exploring, keep on like
chasing that same dream that hasn't
exactly
chasing
right.
that same dream that is
right. Like I could still sit here and like just wait for, you know, my picture perfect family to come along and everything. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for like to do with what you get, you know, like Hashem gives you different science and different like things, and you make the best out of it. And that doesn't mean that I still don't have that dream too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also feel like, you know, living, like you say, like it just gets different over the years.
Yeah. And that's like so exciting that like, well, what else can I dream about? And what else,
It's true.
You know, what other things am I like, what are certain visions or dreams of my life, like holding me back from more dreams?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's true, because it could get like, make you, like we said before, like keep you stuck.
Yeah.
If you just don't explore more. Listen, I also feel like I got much stronger myself, like in everything I do. I'm like, if I can do that, you know, I can do other things too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be much more insecure and like not knowing what I want. And I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
If I did that, I can, you know.
But also following what you wanted, like really chasing your dreams.
Right.
Like, I know there's like these big slogans, just like chase your dreams. That's what you did.
Right. And I wasn't like that.
Right.
It's true.
And you're not going to get up there and tell everyone to chase their dreams, but you showed in such a powerful way that like you want to give life. And this is how you're going to do it right now.
It's true.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you for making like me realize that.
Yeah. It's like you really against all odds, because donating a kidney doesn't matter who you are and what universe you live in. The odds are crazy.
Right.
I don't know what they are, but I'm sure they're,
I don't know
what the numbers are.
I definitely think it's more common now, but it's still something most people have not heard of anyone that donated a kidney.
Yeah.
And again, I did not know anyone before I did.
Yeah.
I knew recipients, but I never knew kidney donors, which I find like, I wish I did know beforehand. It would have made it a little bit easier.
Right.
Like I remember waking up from surgery and I'm like, what is going on? Apparently they have to like pump you up to like get everything bigger inside. So all the gas has to go out and it comes out like through your chest. I thought like a truck had hit me. Now that when I met, like recently I met another donor and I told her like, this is what's going to happen. Just be aware.
Right.
But I have to say Renewal, like the organization, they really are. They're saving, you know, I saved one life. They're saving lives.
Shout out to Renewal.
Every
E-rate. We also have to
definitely, shout out. She is. I'm not sure where I would be if, you know, if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
She really from the beginning till the end.
Unbelievable.
Was there. Yeah. Yeah. It's, if you think about it, like, Chasdei Hashem, you know, like people are literally having their job and getting people involved in donating their kidney. It's like, it's amazing what they do.
Yeah. Is this something that you would want to get involved in like professionally?
I don't think so. Like I said before, if someone is reaching out to me or if I know that someone wants to hear me, like I would, 2000%. It's not something that I would just find like, hey, who wants to donate a kidney? I know that's what they do and that's why they're so successful and it's amazing. It's just not something, it's not my strength.
Right.
Like I really feel like this is so personal. Like for me, this was so personal. It wasn't like, oh, you know, I just saw a flyer and I decided to do it. Like it was really living for myself. Like I turned 40 and I really felt like I was ready for it. And yeah. And
I guess coming on here and sharing your story because of that means so much more. Because like,
so I haven't done this yet before. I don't usually, you know, shout it off the roofs. That's not my personality.
Right.
I really did it, you know, like kind of like I remember when I did it and people, you know, like Davin for Elisheva, they were like, what? What did you just do? Like, it wasn't that I told anyone beforehand. Like my closest friend, they knew, but it wasn't anything that was publicized. So yeah, I definitely shocked
Shocked a lot of people.
a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're
But
just,
it's good. It has been a year, but
yeah.
yeah.
I guess just this idea that there's like so many different ways to give life, and allowing those opportunities to come without like shutting it down. Like you could have
Right.
just like had a million reasons why that isn't something that you shouldn't have pursued,
Right.
but it is something that you pursued anyway as a real option. of
Right.
giving
I think
life.
it's also so much more that I'm strong, that I, like I can do this. If I chose to do this and I actually went through with it, like then other things that seemed like to make me nervous, and I keep on reminding myself I could do that. I could do, other things as well.
Yeah. And do you feel like you've done those things over the past year, or just talk?
Yeah. I mean, this past year has been, I don't know if I should mention it, but has been pretty traumatic. The kidney donation was a breeze in compare of what happened next. I don't know if you want to hear that, but
I'd love to hear it.
right. So so usually when you donate a kidney, you feel like I was actually feeling on top of the world. I remember meeting with my friend. We know our friend, Ashira.
Shout out to Ashira, by the way.
Yes, definitely. We went out for lunch, probably like 5 weeks after. And I felt so good. I felt like, I could take on the whole world. And it was just amazing. Like the feeling that you just gave life and everything, it was so amazing. And you know what? Then it's easy to trust Hashem and to have faith and everything. And I only realized that now.
Right.
But then I didn't realize it because a week after that, about 5 weeks after, 6 weeks, because I was literally just cleared. I went to Mount Sinai and they cleared me of doing everything again. I could go running again, which was my, I love running, biking. It was Erev Yom Kippur. And I think it was Tuesday night. Yom Kippur was Wednesday night. Straight from work, I went to the airport. I was going to go home to visit my parents. Not only was I going to visit my parents, but my younger brother who has Down syndrome, I was going to help my parents to take care of him. So, and a friend of mine was going to join me. So after school, you know how it goes, like you rush, you run. So I drove my car to my sister who lives in the Five Towns. I dropped up the car there. I ordered an Uber and I just jumped in without even thinking. Later, when I was sitting in the car, I realized that I didn't print out my COVID test, which still had to be done at that point. And I remember talking to the guy and like, what am I going to do? And he's like, well, we can stop at Staples. And I'm like, no, there's no time. We have to rush. But at that point, I was like, okay, whatever will happen, which is so not me. I would get stressed about it. And I would I don't know what to do. But I was like, okay, let it go. I called my mom. Just, we always speak right before I fly. Just say I'm on my way. And we were 2 miles from the airport. And my Uber driver turned to get into the airport road. And it's a little hard to talk about it. But a car from the other side basically came flying into my side of the car.
Oh my gosh.
The car spinned out, everything, the airbags went out. It hit exactly where I was sitting in the back. Baruch Hashem, thank God. I don't know why, but I was wearing a seatbelt in the Uber. The next thing I see, first, you want me to go deeper in it?
Sure.
It was hard to talk about it. As I would say, later, I was really upset.
Right.
But the first 30 seconds, I was when the car hit at that moment, and I was in shock, I guess. And I remember so clearly thinking okay, this is how you die.
Right.
Everything is going to stop now.
Is this how it ends?
It was really slow motion, that bang. And then I'm everything is going to stop now. How does this work? I'm going to die. It was the weirdest thing, but I was calm.
Right.
And then suddenly I was getting out. Seriously, I think I had a panic attack. I've never had one, so I don't know how that feels. But I started thinking about my one kidney left, and I was hit on my right where my one kidney is, still there. And I remember thinking, like, it's not possible. No, like, something is going to happen. And I seriously freaked out. I open my eyes and I see a Hatzalah guy there. And I'm like, wait, what happened? What happened? And I see the fire department and the police and everything. And just a funny story. I started yelling, my name is Elisheva. And like, I saw the Hatzalah guy with a beard and a yarmulke. And I'm like, they better like
take care of me. Like,
I don't want to go with the other, like the NYPD and everything. So I started yelling on top of my mind. And it couldn't even come out because I was like in a shock. And so after he's like, and the funny thing that my sister later heard from the Hatzalah people, we know her name is Elisheva. Because I was so scared that I would they had to take me out. The fire department was like cutting the door open. It was like crazy. Also at that moment, like I was completely conscious. So I didn't think I was hurt besides for my kidney. I was just so worried about my kidney. I was like freaking out. So I don't know. Eventually they got me into the ambulance. On the way to the airport, I remember arguing with them to bring me to not Jamaica Hospital that they said they were going to take me. So clearly I was very with it.
Right.
But I just like, no, you have to bring me to like Mount Sinai or something, because that's where I had surgery like 6 weeks before.
Right. That's where all your
they're like,
people
no,
are.
you're in trauma. We have to take you to the closest hospital and everything. So I kept on saying like my kidney, and the guys, so clearly remember the guy's like, you're okay. And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. My kidney. So they probably were all laughing about me. But again, like I didn't even think that like I was hurt seriously. Like I thought my kidney, like if that's okay, then I should be okay. So I got to the hospital. It was probably the most horrible night of my life. They dropped me off. My sister, who was called by Hatzalah, who freaked out. She came right away. She shout out to my sister. She has been beyond amazing, and our whole family. So she came, they didn't let her in. My suitcases were dropped off over there too, because I was on the way to the airport. Right. Oh, and meanwhile, my friend was at JFK waiting for me. You. So my sister's like, just go. She will come after Yom Kippur, she will come. She'll join you. So she's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, just go wherever, well, I'll meet you after Yom Kippur. Anyway, to make it really short, they were starting doing all results, and then the doctor came and said, okay, it looks like it's a little bit more serious. You fractured your neck, your back, and your rib. What? And my lung, there was something with there. It was like such a mess. And even then, I didn't realize how bad it was. I was just laying flat. I couldn't move for 12 hours. I was just laying flat on my back. Thank God my other sister and her friend were amazing too. They managed to transfer me to Mount Sinai. Mm-hmm. So at least I felt like I was in good hands there. So I came there. I spent Yom Kippur in ICU. They were trying to figure out what happened. If the fractures were really if I needed surgery or anything. Baruch Hashem, I didn't need surgery in the end. I did have to wear a cast. They put me in this big neck cast. Mm-hmm. And after a few days, I was sent home. Spent Yom Kippur in the ICU was not fun. Was not what I had expected after my whole kidney thing. So here comes in the kidney. I remember the first thought. I was so upset. Here I felt so on top of the world, and I felt so connected. And looking back now, it was it's easy to be connected when everything goes well, but when something goes wrong, then it's really the challenge. And I remember the first reaction of so many people were oh, your kidney saved your life. And I remember I was so upset hearing that. I'm why did it have to happen in the first place? It really bothered me. And it was so hard. I really had to struggle, besides for the pain and everything. I really had to struggle with my emunah. It was really, really hard. Yeah. Baruch Hashem, I can say now that I came out so much stronger. I'm still struggling, here and there, but I realize Hashem is there and has a plan for everything. And we really do not understand what the plan is, but we have to go with it. And we just have to trust him.
And not knowing what the plan is, can bring up all kinds of emotions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I went to therapy for it because I couldn't. Also, I was scared. I was like, is it going to happen again? After I came home and I went to my sister because I couldn't do anything. She was amazing. I spent 2 months in her house with this cast on after the accident. I remember after 2 weeks after the accident when I had to go back to the doctor. And here I'm thinking I'm a teacher, right? I'm like, okay, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Right. After Sukkot, I'll be back. And the doctor is like, you're not going anywhere. You're not moving for 2 months.
Right.
I think that's really when it hit me. And that's when I got so I definitely had a time that I was so upset and I had to work on it a lot to know that Hashem is there. And I don't know why it had to happen. I still don't understand. And I don't think I will ever understand. But also there are so many things to be blessed for, like if I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, the doctor said I wouldn't be there. Right. The fact that I broke my neck, but I didn't damage my spinal cord. Mm-hmm. It's huge. Right. So
but I would just want to talk about the upsetness for a minute. What were you most upset about?
I think that it happened.
Right.
I was really, really upset that it happened. And I'm like, Hashem, I just donated my kidney. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you that I donated, nothing should happen to me. But it happened so soon. I really just did it. The whole concept was so hard for me. I really just did it. And I just, not only did I get hit by a car, but I was really hurt, coming from a person that, thank God, never had a broken bone. It's kind of hard to believe that the doctor comes to you and tells you you have so many fractures. Right.
You're not no sports injuries, nothing.
Kind of no. I mean, I had a little bit here and there, but nothing. Baruch Hashem. I was able to donate my kidney. Not everyone could do that. I was tip top shape. Right. But yeah, so it was very hard to come to terms that Hashem is doing what's right and it's all for the good. Right. Can I tell every day, I still get upset. I mean, the pain is still here and I'm still, recovering from this accident. But I do see there's so many miracles involved here as well. Mm-hmm. I'm walking, I'm talking, it's every day, every minute is seriously a miracle. And I did not realize that before. As much as I felt I gave life and I understood it, I knew what I gave life, but now I understood what life meant, that I got life. I kind of got it back to me, Right. So, yeah, it's been a very traumatic year, but also a very powerful year. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that it's so brave that not only are you addressing the physical side of that, but just really not being afraid to express your disappointment and anger and frustration.
So it took me a while. I bottled it up the first few months. It all came out.
Oh no, it's fine. Baruch Hashem. Good. I'm healthy. I'm alive.
And I'm not like that every day. Trust me.
No, but even just those are feelings that if I even go there, then first of all, who am I to go there? But will I ever come back?
Right.
Is it going to destroy me, or could I actually feel them and go through that whole process? Is a whole other such a brave choice.
Right. You see, that's
how I see it.
I guess because I'm still struggling with it, I don't see it as a brave choice. I literally go through it day by day. Right. There are days that I feel okay, I mean, the pain hasn't been gone, so that's frustrating. But I think, like you said before, the emotional part is, we always think about physical, but the emotional part is so much more. And it really could also bring you down and right, even more so, emotional. And if you don't take care of that, which I did in the beginning, I was just keeping it in, and people kept on telling me I'm so lucky, and I just got more upset and more upset until I did go to therapy. And the first thing she said was your life is like a movie. You really you should look at that. It's not something just happened. You really went through a crazy amount of stuff, good things, amazing things, but also not good things. And until then, I felt I just couldn't talk about it. I couldn't tell my story because it's who am I, But yeah, I guess it did make me stronger.
Yeah. I feel like instead of asking, who am I? It's like, where are the cameras?
Right.
But we don't want good content at your expense, though.
No. I think I've had my share.
Yeah.
It definitely, looking back now, it made me stronger. I didn't wish I had to go through it, like if I could do it all over again. Absolutely not.
Right.
It's very frustrating, but at the same time, it did make me more confident and more, again, it's a process. I guess you really learned like life lessons when you go through it. Like when you always hear about it, you don't really.
You're feeling these lessons on your body.
Right. And also because I'm able to walk and like people look at me and they're like, oh, you look amazing, but I don't feel amazing, So it's hard to like hear that also constantly. But at the same time, I should feel so blessed that I do look good and I am able to get through it. Yes, emotionally it's hard. Mm-hmm. But again, there's so many blessings that I couldn't have said at that time.
Yeah.
I was just so upset. But now it's like, everything has a reason.
Yeah.
And we do not understand it, and we will never understand. But everything literally has a reason. Do I know why I had to go through such a traumatic thing right after donating my kidney? No. But did it make me a stronger person? For sure.
Yeah. You said that you learned so many life lessons. Are there any that you can like articulate now?
Well, first of all, never take a day for granted.
Okay.
It's really like, and the little things that make you happy, just really like take a minute to like appreciate them. I think before all this, even before my kidney, I really just lived life like, in my mind, I wanted to get married. I wanted to just go on. And like, it kind of became like every day the same, not appreciating what you have. And that also, I think, like makes life even harder. Yeah. So as hard as this year was for me, it was also very rewarding at the same time, starting to realize like how amazing life is.
Yeah.
And yes, we might not understand and we have to go through like very painful things. Still, there's so many lessons that you can learn. There's so many things that, be happy about it and appreciate it.
Just like savoring.
Right. Like take a moment to just really look back and see what you have done.
Yeah.
Not just continue. I remember turning 40 before the kidney, and I remember looking back and I'm like, what did I do the last 10 years? And it's not that I didn't do anything. I did plenty of stuff, but I didn't feel like I did anything. Right. And I think that's such a different way of living, even if you don't do crazy things. But there's always something, you're always growing. Yeah. And never stop growing. And like, I remember before I turned 40, I was like, I didn't feel that. And I felt like every year was the same. Like, what did I do different? Now looking back, I did many beautiful things. I've changed kids' lives. I've been a teacher for 18 years. Right. So I did many things, but I didn't feel it. Mm-hmm. I just felt like just living. Okay, I'm just continuing. I'm just waiting until this is going to happen. And then, then we continue life that way. Life is not like that. Right. It's really like bring Hashem in your life and really like live the life that he wants you to live.
Yeah. And live the life that you have.
Right. But also look for opportunities. And it doesn't have to be major, but like look for opportunities that happen to you or that you did. And that's like Hashem gives you a brand new life every single day. Yeah. And it's very powerful. Yeah. I remember I had once a discussion with my recipient. Like at one point he surprised me at a school event. And I think I really shocked the parents at that moment, because even after the accident, parents in school still did not know I donated my kidney. They knew about my accident. They didn't know about my kidney. Really? But by the end of the year, so we had this big event and he surprised me. He came and he spoke in front of everyone, like explaining what I did. And he explained like how the doctors gave him like a few more months to live. Like it had to happen. And then I came into his life, and I didn't even realize until that point how urgent, like how I really, really saved his life.
Wow.
Like until then, like I thought like, okay, I saved his life. He needed a kidney, but he could have gone on with dialysis. But no, the doctor didn't give him any much longer. So I only realized then. So I said to him, I'm like, I feel so bad that you suffered so much.
Right.
He's like, no, every day you just take it day by day and like, look, and something like you came into my life. And it was like so powerful. How like, even though with so much suffering, he still could say, you get what you deal with what you get. And like, you just take it day by day. And I'm like, okay, cannot complain. You know, it's like amazing.
Right.
But again, I've seen that a lot. People that are suffering, they realize, you know, we don't realize how blessed we are until we are going through something. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's
right. And I think this idea to choose like life and choose the life that is right here in front of you is so like brave and also so exciting. And also like gives you an opportunity to really like live your dream.
Right. It makes life a lot more easier also.
Yeah.
As hard as it is, it also makes life easier because, you know, we all get older and it's scary to become older and like not reach the things that you don't want to. Or like, even if you are married, even if you have kids, like we all go through so many things and we just get older and older and it is scary. But if you realize that you really lived a life that with purpose, it's like, it gets a lot easier that way.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Well, it's so fascinating to me because when I said choice, like in my head, I'm thinking like the fact that you chose to donate your kidney.
Right.
And then obviously this whole idea of choosing every day is like another piece, but it's all connected.
Right.
To this idea that obviously, yes, Hashem runs the world and that's a lot of personal work to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, what are the choices that I have that I can make in front of me today?
Right. And every day that's new.
Exactly.
Like you have to start the day every single day. Like, okay, yesterday it could be a bad day, but again. Yeah. And it took me a long time and I'm still learning it. You know, but every single day when you open your eyes and you say Madani, you know, it's like literally a brand new day for you to choose
what's in front.
Right, to make life purposeful. Like, it's
like you made a choice to donate a kidney because you wanted to give life, right? But you can't make that choice anymore because you're past that.
Right.
So that part of giving life is still generating life and love.
Right, because every day that he has is like I remember our 1 year anniversary. It's like, no matter what happened, and I wish him, like I pray every day that he lives still 120 years, but he had a whole year already.
Yeah.
And Amir Sasha, many, many more years, but every single day is like so precious. And it's like, so even though I did it and that's it, like it's really every single day, it's still living. It's again and again and again.
And there's also the choice of how you choose to like relate to that part of you and that story and the way that you relate to choose to share it. So thank you for sharing it.
I have to say this is the first time I did this, but it's good. Also, like, it's good to be proud of it, what I did.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't think I've felt like that before. I felt like it was so personal for me to do it. I didn't feel like I have to share it. Like, why would anyone want to hear it? But no, I should be proud of what I did. And especially after this year, you know,
absolutely.
Like, it's right. Like, and hopefully, you know, someone can just take one thing away, you know, from it, like don't give up. And it doesn't have to be, again, by donating your kidney. It could be by so many other things.
Right.
But we're here to live, not to just like do every day the same thing. Like we're here to change our lives, to change other people's lives. We're only here for 120 years. So we have to make the best out of it. And it's going to happen no matter what. So we can be scared and like say like, oh, I can't do anything. I just, you know, live in the moment. But it will happen. So just like, let's embrace it and like really, you know.
Live your dream.
Right, but also let it go. Let Hashem be in charge. You know, like as much as we have to do our things and we can't just sit around. But, and this is a big one for me, you know, let it go. Hashem is in charge, and whatever happens will be for the best.
Yeah.
Which is so hard in real life, but it is true.
Yeah, and that's also what's so powerful about the things that you could choose.
Right.
And knowing what that is.
Right.
And actively choosing life.
Right, like acting upon it, you know, like really do something.
Yeah. Thank you for showing us what it looks like to choose life.
Thank you for listening and giving me the chance to, again, listening to myself even, like there's so much more for me to learn as well. But
yeah,
it's, again, life is beautiful.
Yeah.
As hard as it is beautiful too.
Yeah. Because you said listening to yourself. I think a lot of times we look outside ourselves for answers and inspiration. And it's
true.
Like, what if I just listen to myself?
So true. I'm like thinking,
how
like,
different would my life be?
Great.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I actually have a bunch of more questions. Okay. So there's one. We're talking a lot about like giving life.
Mm-hmm.
But how has this experience taught you about receiving life and receiving from
like
someone
after
else?
the accident?
No, just in general. Because you gave life, right? Like
right.
It was something so major. But everything kind of happens. Nothing happens in a vacuum, and we're all like in the same. We're all energetically giving and taking all the time. And I think for me, one of the biggest life lessons that I've had to learn over the past few years is how to receive. So that's why I'm so curious.
So
like how.
Right. So I think we're very similar in that. I am definitely a much bigger giver than receiver. Like it took me a lot of times, even with the accident, it was so hard for like having people like to rely on people and like people really, and they did it out of their goodness of their heart. And I still felt bad. Yeah. Like it was really hard for me to not be able to do anything for 2 months. Yeah. Like just literally like go, you know, go physical therapy. They came to my house, to my sister's house, because I couldn't even get into the car.
Right.
It was so hard to be like on the receiving end, but at the same time be like, just as much as you like to give and it makes you feel good, let the other people trust them that they want to do it for you and don't feel bad. Because like I always say, giving, I mean, for my personality, giving is easier than receiving. So I should work harder on the receiving end.
Right.
Because just like when you want people to get your, you know,
graciously receive what you're sharing with them.
Exactly. So you should also like do the same thing, but it's definitely harder. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a really important valued skill.
Absolutely. Because it makes the other person feel like, you know, when you give something to a person and they just like don't care, or like they're not feeling like they don't care, it's not a good feeling. So if you are like receiving something and you find it hard, let them really, you know, they want to do this for you. So
yeah, actually I wrote this down. I think I was listening to a podcast where somebody shared this, that gracious receptivity is a virtue. This idea that to graciously accept something that someone's giving to you is like, you know, we talk a lot about, in general, just about giving and how that's obviously so, but like, imagine being, I don't know.
No, I hear you, because I'm thinking also sometimes like, how do the kidney recipients feel? Like it must be not an easy thing at all to like receive such a big thing. And that's why I also could imagine when a person that receives a kidney that could not be able to be in touch with the giver, because like I see from my point of view, like I probably would be the same. Like, how do you ever feel like you're thankful enough, right? So I feel so blessed to have like, his name is Menashe, to have him in my life. Like he really makes me feel like it's just like he's part of the family, you know? Yeah, it's hard to explain, but
And I guess what's really fascinating about this whole story, the choices that you made to like own your life and own what you want to do in a way that is maybe ideologically in alignment with what other people see life to be, but practically turned out very differently.
Right. And it's a work in progress.
I'm sure it's a work in progress. I'm sure, but I really want to highlight that and celebrate it because it can't be easy.
No, it's definitely not.
And I think that's another big reason why I wanted you to share your story here. Like, obviously, because it's an incredible story, and like, you're such an incredible light.
Thank you. It's hard to receive.
Yes, you did it. You did it.
But thank you.
So shout out to that.
Thank you.
But I think it's such an important conversation to have, where like we have this ideology, and then it's never going to play itself out the same way for every single person. And it's really hard to be like, wait, this is different for me. This plays out differently for me in my life. It plays out differently in your life. And my role in your life is just to celebrate that. Right. Not judge it and be like, it's different. That's how it's turning out for you. And you're brave enough to make that choice and do that. And I think it's amazing.
Right. But again, like, it doesn't work for
absolutely not
everyone. Yeah.
And then the things that I'm doing differently and that you can celebrate that I'm doing.
Absolutely.
And then, you know what I mean? Because I feel like that's really where we need to be as a community.
And the world would be a much better place.
Yeah, I know it, and it already is, because you are sharing the story, and we're bringing like, it's such a,
and you're bringing it out.
Yeah, listen, we don't do it by ourselves.
You're getting it out of people.
Nothing happens on its own, and it's like, what about the community? What about our connections? What about like our relationships can bring out the best in each other, and celebrate how we're different. Celebrate how our choices and our life's journeys.
Right. It's different, but at the end of the day, we all believe and trust in the same Hashem. So
1,000,000%.
And in that, we're so connected in that way. We all act out differently and all have different ways of expressing it. But in the end of the day, that's how our connection is. Yeah. And that's what makes it so beautiful.
Exactly. And I think, like, celebrating the differences is I think the core of it.
Yeah.
The core
and stay connected with each other.
Exactly.
Not like, oh, I don't do it that way, so I'm not.
Like, I would never donate my kidney.
And I totally get that. Trust me. I totally get that.
And like, I couldn't respect you more for that. But,
and it's like, again, it's really not for everyone.
Absolutely
it really is not. But, you're doing things that I probably would never in a million years think of doing. So like, and I think that's the beauty of all of us. Like, we're just, Hashem creates us, everyone different. Like,
listen, the things that I'm doing, I never dreamt of doing.
I should make a podcast with you one day. Right? Ask you the questions.
We could do that. But yeah, this is fantastic. How do you say
Thank you.
In Dutch?
Fantasties.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was really great. Thank you so much
Thank you so much for, taking your time and like listening to my story. It's looking back now, it sounds, when you're living in it, you don't really think of it. You just try to like keep on going. Yeah. And it just reminds us to like just stop and reflect.
Yeah. And so celebrate.
Important. And celebrate. Yeah.
Really celebrate.
So true.
So yeah. Thank you for trusting me with your story.
Thank you.
I'm excited for the world to hear. So guys, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Stay fabulous. And we'll see you next time.